Hey guys, this is James.
And this is Denny from TeaDB, bringing you guys episode 34.
Indeed. So today we are reviewing Fu Shou Shan from Origin Tea,
Cool.
Spring 2013. So Fu Shou Shan is a very special tea. There's not a whole lot of it harvested every year, and so what it designates is this farm. And it doesn't even necessarily designate a tea farm specifically. They grow all kinds of stuff that farms grow, which, believe it or not, is just not tea. They grow fruit, vegetables. I know. What are these things?
I have no idea. Confusing.
But it's at a very, very high altitude at one of the peaks in Lishan, so one of the really highly sought after teas. So it's at 2,500, 2,600 meters.
Wow.
Really, really high up there. And this is actually one of, it's known as the Veterans Farm, actually, because it's like a government farm.
Right.
And it was one of Kai-shek's favorite spots to go to.
Okay.
And so they kind of planted tea here in the 70s. And yeah, so
Very
every
cool.
year they come out with their own harvest, and it's sold in two separate 75-gram tins. And so we got some of that from my man Tony over at Origin Tea.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and preheat our teaware right here.
And how much tea are you using?
So we're going to use 7 grams for our 100
Oh, yeah.
milliliter Gaiwan.
Okay.
So pretty standard.
Very cool. And just so you guys know, one of the reasons that altitude affects the quality of tea is not because higher is better, just randomly. It's because the terroir and the difficulty of the tea leaves themselves to grow. And people find that the harder it is for a tea plant to grow, the slower the leaves grow themselves. Usually, the richer and more subtle taste that associated with it. And apparently, I suppose the same is true of wine.
Indeed,
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, and to speak a little bit to what Denny was saying, this is
springtime.
one of the latest harvested teas in the spring.
Oh, cool.
Because of that
Right.
reason, it's just slower to grow, and as a result, it develops more complexity.
And there are going to be less flushes, and therefore it's going to be rarer and more sought after as well. So.
Yeah, and that's the reason why summer tea is no good, because it grows so fast.
Right.
No time to develop the complexity.
And it has the most caffeine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, some interesting notes are that the real premium Japanese tea, what they're going to do is they're going to actually, after the spring harvest, they're going to cut the bushes so you can't get your second or third flush.
Wow.
So.
And just make the actual bush itself grow, as opposed to the tea plant or the tea leaves. Excuse me.
Exactly. So we're going to steep this guy for about 15 seconds. Pretty standard stuff.
Cool.
And we'll probably play it by taste from there, but I'd estimate something like 15 seconds and then 15 seconds again.
Yeah, really nice, beautiful, deep, verdant, really like forest green, very, very lightly oxidized.
Yep.
And it smells just like a really high quality, high mountain oolong.
Yep. So this is kind of done in that very, very green style.
Yeah.
And Tony actually specializes in more of the oxidized versions, which is very interesting because that's very... it's more of the traditional style done before. But with shipping these days and all that stuff, you can get your tea out there so fast that this really, what's been called nuclear green style, look at that, that's so green.
Insane.
Green style has become more and more popular.
Cool. Yeah, and the flavor profile for you guys, it's dramatic how roasting affects the flavor. So if you're new to tea, go ahead and grab a roasted oolong and a green oolong and give them a go. And you'll really experience the difference. It's fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Cheers.
Thanks, man. So your kind of traditional, lightly oxidized oolong flavors, very kind of not grassy, but fresh,
Creamy,
springy, honey,
floral,
definitely, yeah.
Also get a
little bit of corn.
Yeah. I wonder if they could grow corn at Fu Shou Shan. I hear that's one of those crops that's not tea.
This is really nice, actually. It's very smooth. Oops, I'm spilling over the place. And I think that it's got a very nice length, considering that this is the first steeping for only 15 seconds. So wonderfully steeped. I think you could definitely overbrew this if you were using way too hot of water for way too long. So well done.
Yep, so we'll give this guy another whirl. I think 15 seconds again would be about right.
Yeah.
And for those of you just curious about Taiwanese oolongs, of the rolled kind, the second steep is usually kind of like the most sought after steep when you're talking about the tea. So this is kind of the money steep. This is where we want to get the kind of the best flavors and stuff like that.
Yep, and to pay attention is crucial at this point. You can be a little bit more recluse as you're on your 6th steeping, your 7th steeping, and 10 seconds here or there won't make a big difference.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. And we're getting a real nice, clear,
beautiful, yellowy.
Yeah.
Oh. This is wonderful. It's weird drinking this tea this season right now because I associate these flavors. Oh my gosh. I'm interrupting myself. The color of the leaves themselves just amazing, I'd say. I mean, so one of the most beautiful characteristics of this, just incredible, really high quality leaves themselves as well.
Yep, going to be nice and big,
Yep.
just characteristic of kind of like that late picking. A little bit fuller body, very similar to the first steep.
Very
nice
more of
tea.
that corn.
Yeah. What do you what is your preferred style of oolongs?
Oh.
I've had kind of this discussion with Tony, and to a certain extent, it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, I like heavily roasted or I like really low oxidation. It could be like, oh, I like my green oolongs, but I like them to be a little bit more oxidized than this.
I think if I'm going to have green oolong, I like it really, really, really fresh like this, actually.
Do you?
Yeah. Che Guanyin, for instance, it just doesn't... There's just... I don't know. It's just too in between. It's weird. And I've had some Dong Ding that is kind of an in-between roast, too. And it's not... I don't know. Like, the purity of this flavor profile is just there. And this high quality of tea just is kind of... Whew, it's overwhelming in a good way.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of what the Japanese would say, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
Like for the green tea, is like best is fresh and stuff. It's all about preserving that freshness, and where like the Shincha, the first harvest, is just like really, really prized.
Right. But then we brought on like that extremely roasted Lishan, for instance, and we've brought on Oriental Beauty, which I love and drink almost every day. So it's hard to... I don't know. When it comes to I'd say most of the time I'm purchasing really, really green oolongs.
Yep. And Tony actually introduced me to a couple teas, really, really interesting teas that have kind of challenged my assumption of like what an oolong should be. Because like the minimally processed and stuff like that can be very, very good. And I agree. I do have a time and place to enjoy those. But there's also some really, really wonderful diversity that can be had just in these green oolongs. That doesn't involve you going to Wooey and getting like your roasted yancha, for example.
Right. Interesting. I'd love to try stuff.
Yeah. I think we'll be reviewing some of those in a few episodes or so.
Cool.
Spoilers.
The coolest thing about tea, and then we keep saying this every time almost, but is that there is so much diversity. We're just talking about lightly oxidized green oolongs from Taiwan, and there's a whole big conversation to be had there. And so, just like anything that you go and learn about, once you get kind of into it, the depth that you can reach is really, really exciting. And I consider myself extremely new at this stuff. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about half the time.
Yeah, I mean, we have a podcast, but really, we are noobs in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah. And so, the discovery of tea and of whatever you want to get excellent at or enjoy and appreciate is just as fun. This is great. And even the steeping, wow.
Yeah,
deeper color.
These are actually smaller than some of the leaves I've seen from some of Tony's teas. But still really high quality, nice whole leaves.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Just on that edge of...
bitterness?
Yeah, just on that edge. And... which is interesting because it gives it that like really big pow flavor in the front of it. So I'm loving that. And I'm just kind of trying to meditate on this a little bit because It's a really like lovely lasting tea. I think the length on this is really nice.
Yeah. Yeah. As far as high mountain teas go, this is fairly typical, definitely on the green side. A little bit more floral than your average one, but not a whole lot. Yeah.
I think that's about right. How about you? What do you, James, what are your, in terms of oolong specifically, what are you loving?
You know, I actually, of oolongs, I actually prefer yanchas, like more of the roasted types. Da Hong Pao, Rogueway, Tianluhan, that sort of thing.
Drinking a lot about it at the office.
Yeah, definitely. Especially seasonally at this time of year. But there's definitely a time and place for teas like this. And Oriental Beauty, unfortunately, gives me bad headaches. But there are some Tony's teas that he's introduced me to, specifically the Da Yuling at 102K, which means absolutely nothing to, I'm sure, most people here. Really, really delicious. A nice, sweet, sugary aftertaste. Very, 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 very good tea.
Cool. That's great. Well, if someone wanted to learn more about high mountain oolong tea,
they should visit TeaDB.
Yeah.
I've actually written a number of articles on high mountain tea, doing a number of vendor profiles, including one really, really good one on Tony, who is very, very just forthcoming and honest about the tea industry. So a lot of great information there. So I'd highly, highly recommend checking that out.
Yeah, go do it, learn something, really high quality content, and James did a great job of making it really digestible.
Yeah, and check out Tony over at origintea.net. He's constantly releasing new and interesting teas, both of Taiwanese oolongs as well as other oolongs and pu'ers.
Cool. And if you guys want to, please subscribe to our channel. We would appreciate it. You can get our updates or just check us out. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, comment, subscribe, like, whatever you want to do. If not, get the hell out of here. But that's going to do it for episode 34.
Yeah.
And
yeah, thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.